Hi, I'm Shimelle Laine, and I'm ready to dive into my April Best of Both Worlds kit. And I have something a little different to start out here, and that is 3 pages which you may have seen my sparkly friend Glitter Girl take care of over on the Two Peas in a Bucket YouTube channel. In her most recent adventure, she took a limited set of supplies and then set about making 3 pages using this pretty strict formula of creating with that limited set of supplies, and the idea of 3 photos, 2 photos, and then 1 photo, and a few different design tactics to help that come together. And the idea is that then by choosing the supplies first and then your photos and then creating those 3 simple pages, you should be able to see what does and doesn't work for you, and it will help prove to your mind that you don't really need to go back through a million sheets of paper to look for the one perfect sheet that's going to go with any particular set of photos. So what I want to do is show you how that can work with any set of papers, that it wasn't just this exact set of supplies that Glitter Girl picked out that will make it work. So I'm going to use this same set of tactics with my April Best of Both Worlds kit. Now, when I showed you the kit on its own, remember I had showed you this kind of substitute set of thickers that are the lighter wood grain in the Goodness font, but I'm using the darker wood grain in the Patchwork font. So that will stay, and I will put the lighter set away. And then also, remember this month there were 3 options for stamps, so I have all 3 here with my kit, but I'll only ever use one in any particular video. So I'll choose which set to use today, and then I will stick to that. I won't mix it all up. So whichever one you chose, you should still be able to get some ideas of how you would use the kit with just that set of stamps. So I have my kit, there's my washi tape, my papers. I am pulling in a little bit of mist today. I've picked out a gray, a yellow, and a turquoise from Keezy Art. The other 2 are Mr. Huey's from Studio Calico. And then, of course, I have the same tactic as Glitter Girl. So I've chosen 3 of the pattern papers from the kit that are going to become the backgrounds for my pages. This triangle print from American Crafts, this aqua ledger paper from Echo Park, and this multicolored arrow print from Simple Stories' new collection called 24/7. So those 3 are going to be my layouts, the backgrounds. Those are going to stay 12 by 12. I'm also going to use some 6x6 paper from the Ready Set Go paper pad, and I'm going to use this map print from Webster's Pages, and this yellow chevron, which also has the honeycomb pattern on the other side from Simple Stories. And then I'll show you as we go. There's one little step where one of the questions that came up after Glitter Girl showed her layouts was if one of the pattern papers could be substituted with a sheet of cardstock, because most of the pattern got covered up. So I am going to add 1 sheet of dark craft cardstock to show you how, yes, of course, that can work as a substitution. And then after I chose which pattern papers were going to be my backgrounds and which ones that I was going to use, I've picked out 3 sets of photos, a 1, a 2, and a 3. So my single photo is going to be this one. My 2 photos, this time they're both landscape. And then I have 3 photos here. So my 2 and my 3 are all 4x6 prints, and then this is an Instagram print from Origami. Okay, so I think I'm ready to start, and the whole idea is that I start with the 3, then I do the 2, then the 1. So I'll put these photos to the side, put all my embellishments over here, and I'm going to go ahead and get started with this first background. Starting with the page that has 3 photos, I start with a 1-inch strip of any contrasting pattern paper to give me an anchor so that I can attach the photos to that and give it some sort of edge there. Then I have a 4x3 block of pattern paper that's going to come over to this side and just tuck under the photos a little bit so that I can build some embellishment and my title and journaling all down here in the bottom corner. So I'll just attach that, and then I think I'll go with some yellow washi tape to help this pull together on the horizontal. And if you like the look of it on top of the photos, then put it on top. If you don't, tuck it underneath. It's really easy to customize that way. Wrap it around to the back. And then repeat that up here at the top, because I'm going to use a bit of embellishment at this top corner in between the first two photos to mimic the same sorts of embellishments that are going to go down here. Again, I could tuck that underneath the photos because I'd still have the horizontal line to the side here. Now from here, I want to show you a little bit of a different process than what Glitter Girl used in her video. So I'm going to actually leave this page at this stage where it's just the starting point of the main paper elements and the photos, but there's no title, there's no journaling, and there's no further embellishment. And I'm going to set it aside and go to the next page. And I call this batch scrapping, because what I'm going to do is do that same sort of idea of the basic elements of each page attached before I go back and do all the titles and all the embellishment. And this is the 10 by 10 square of pattern paper. And then instead of using a whole nother sheet of pattern paper and largely covering it up, which is what Glitter Girl did in her example, I've just substituted in a sheet of dark craft cardstock because it is just going to form the mat. So you can make it work either way. And then this box then goes in the center of the 12 by 12 pattern background. So you have a 10-inch square matted and then placed in the middle of the 12-inch square. Then the next step is a strip to go across the center. So I'm going to cut that from my yellow chevron. And that's going to be 3 inches in this case. 4 works well as well. And I'd already trimmed 1 inch off of this sheet to do the vertical strip on the first page. So I have 3 by 11 here. And that goes at the bottom with some of the matte paper still showing below. And that way I have a nice horizontal block to build from there. Then I'm going to go ahead and attach my photos before I go on to the next step with that same step with the third page. So just have a look to see where they could go. With 2 in the same direction, they can go side by side, or they can go in a nice orderly box, or they can go kind of on an angle. So what I would like is for them to be together, but I'm just curious as to which one looks better. One is a close-up and one is far away. The building is the same building in both pictures. So once I figure out which one I want in which order, then I just attach them straight to the page. And because this is a multicolored pattern, if you like your pages to have a little bit more contrast between the photos and the pattern paper, I just add a mat around the 2 pictures. Just like Glitter Girl, I wanted to mat one of the photos but not the other, and I have my 6x6 paper pad, which doesn't work for a full mat of a 4x6 photo, and I didn't want to crop the pictures down. I like to keep my 4x6 pictures at that ratio, so I've just used the mat on the space where it's available, and then I'll have to come back in here and add something that's going to creatively cover where this little gap from the mat not working on that side ends up. But I'm okay with figuring that out later. So then I'm at that same stage here. So I have all my photos and all my pattern paper elements in play, but not the embellishments and not the title and not the writing. So I'll go ahead then and set this one to the side with the first page and do that same process for the third layout, which is going to use that arrow print as the background. Now the idea for building the final page is to take the pattern papers that are remaining, that are not 12 by 12 sheets, but all the different pieces that you've already cut into to make the first 2 pages, and cut them into boxes, either rectangles or squares, so they can be arranged pretty easily on the 12 by 12 background. Now I'm doing a multicolored print on top of another multicolored print. And I would say that if you're not a big fan of an overwhelming amount of pattern, this can be simplified by just adding a solid colored mat around here. I could go back to that same dark craft cardstock and cut a little border for that, but because I'm going to pile so much pattern on top of it, I'm not too worried about it. But I know that in some styles it might be too much pattern compared to what's on your pages in your albums that you've already made. So just keep that in mind. If there's two multicolored patterns and they seem a bit busy together, try separating the pattern with a line of solid cardstock. And then I'm just going to build these rectangles until I can create a nice little spot for the photo to go here. And I can also add in my 6x6 papers for a bit of variety in the color, because all my B-sides here tended to be yellow. So I have this blue piece from the 6x6 paper pad. And then I can add in my photograph. And there's no perfect place where the picture has to go, but I do tend to create some sort of frame so that the photo has a place to sit. But I could have tucked it underneath these two pieces of yellow, or brought it up a little bit so that you could see the edge of this yellow strip here, anything like that. Just looking for a good spot for the photo to sit so it doesn't seem like it's just kind of thrown on top of a big stack. All the nice straight edges make that a little bit more obvious. So now I have all three of my pages to this same stage. They all have the pattern paper and they all have the photos. The reason that sometimes I do this with a kit is when I have something like this as my embellishment, because now I can set all three of the layouts side by side on my desk and be able to look at the sheet and figure out where the best spot for each of the embellishments would go. It keeps me from having that problem where if I just finished this one to the complete end before I went on to the next page, what if I'd used one of the stickers here that then I really wish I had when I got to the second page? Well, this is a little bit of a compromise. I'm definitely not going back and fretting over the rest of every supply that I own, but sometimes if I have one sheet like this where I need to be able to separate it across 3 or more layouts, or it might be a pack of die cuts or something else where you've just got one element that you really want to use, especially something that comes in a kit where you want to make sure you get the most from your kit, then sometimes I'll do this in batches so that I can look at all three together and figure out where's the best spot for the embellishments so that I don't use something that's on the first page that then I really wish I'd used on the second. But that is a little bit of a compromise, and I know that it contradicts the idea of making 1, 2, and 3 with just your set supplies. So please keep in mind that I'm not going back and looking at anything else. I'm just doing that with just one sheet. So I think that's a little bit of a compromise between going back to all of your existing stash to look in case you have something perfect, and taking it maybe 2 to 4 layouts at a time. I've cut the sticker sheet apart and allocated different stickers to each page, so I have some idea of where I'm going to go, and that way my colors are balanced and I've been able to make sure I have enough to go with each page. So I'll go back to the beginning of each one now and finish the whole page. So I have for this first page some stickers, mostly horizontal elements with a few that are round, and also this bit of transparency that will fit nicely over that 4x3 block. But I don't want to put any glue on the back of the transparency because then you'd be able to see it through the transparent top. So I'm just going to use my stickers that I picked out as embellishments to hold the transparency in place. And this one brings in more color so that all of the different embellishments that I chose will hopefully fit well with the background color, which is a bit of a contrast. And then I'll put this one on pop dots. And usually with pop dots you can still make sure that they are going to be in the right place to help hold the transparency, because pop dots are pretty sticky on their own. And then I can come up to this spot here, and I want to make it balance with this bit down here. So I'm also going to use my pop dots on this larger red sticker that will go here at the bottom of that and kind of mimic the chevron or the arrow pattern here with the end of the pennant. And then I have a sticker for the day of the week, and another little strip and a circle to go up at the top as well. Now, because Glitter Girl has already given you 40 minutes of video on this topic, I'm not going to take you through too much of any more repetitive detail, and I'm going to jump straight to the finished pages. So I just allocated all those different stickers to each page, and then went ahead and added a little bit of a finishing touch here and there where it needed something. So for example, this page really needed a little bit more in terms of texture, so I added some baker's twine and a little shot of orange with the enamel dots. It helped to bring together this more orangey yellow in the pattern paper with the yellow in the washi tape and this paper, which is kind of an in-between shade. So by adding another shade, it looks very purposeful. And you might remember, if you had a look at the kit video, that this month I didn't add a small alphabet sticker to the kit because I really wanted to make an effort to use up some of the small alphabets I have. So for 2 of these layouts, I used a small red alphabet, and it's by Pebbles. It looks like this. So I've used that plus the thickers from the kit. For the second page, I stuck with that same red alphabet for the smaller letter stickers and added the camera print washi tape to give me some horizontal elements. This green sticker up here, I loved the color because I wanted to bring together the green of this pattern paper with some green in the embellishment, but the wording wasn't correct. So I just chose another sticker that was correct and put that over the top with pop dots so that you can't see the lettering that doesn't fit the theme of the page. On the other square layout that my sparkly friend made, I did a block of journaling, and in this case I ran the journaling around the outside of the larger box. I did add some stamping on this one from the KI Memories stamp set. I just added the Remember This below the title because it was just the perfect size to fit in that gap, and I used a date stamp down here in the bottom corner, and actually I tried stamping it straight on the background and I got it a bit wrong, so I stamped onto a scrap of the yellow pattern paper and added that in. With this, I liked, although the date is on the page elsewhere, I liked the idea of being able to bring the arrows into point to the correct month. And actually, that border strip is essentially completely there to fill the hole left by that mat that didn't finish going all the way around the photo. So the element that's there to cover up the mistake, so to speak, is actually brought to your attention because of the arrows that are pointing to the date. And for the third page, I added a little bit of gray and yellow mist to the top corners, added that border sticker from the 12 by 12 sticker sheet all the way across, and then also another horizontal element here with the cameras, because I wanted lots of horizontal with this long title. And please excuse the airplane that you can probably hear right now. Sorry about that. Okay, and then just came in with a few little pearls as a finishing touch because there was something just a little bit too flat. Almost everything was paper. So again, I went with twine and then the pearls that go on much like the enamel dots. And repeated that blue pattern paper with one of the stamps from that same KI Memory stamp set. So you can see all of these on the blog, and you can see the longer Glitter Girl video as well if you haven't had a chance to see that. And I look forward to sharing more projects from the April Best of Both Worlds kit and wish you happy scrapping. Thanks for watching.